Here we go with tonight. Very good. Welcome everyone to our program, Madhubani and Evergreen Folk Art, as part of the Discover India series here at Burlington Public Library. The program series is brought to you through the partnership between the India Association series, the India Association of Greater Boston and the Burlington Public Library, with participation from other public libraries such as Andover, Ashland, Grafton, Groton, Reading, Westford, and Woburn. I'd like to thank the members of the India Association of Greater Boston and Sunanda Sahi, our presenter for tonight, and her generous donation of her time and knowledge to make this series happen. And also want to welcome you folks to our next program, which will be next week, Monday at the 15th at 7 p.m., which will be Beyond Chicken Tikka. If you enjoyed tonight's program, please invite your friends and family to join us next week in the series afterwards. And tonight's program will be a presentation followed by a Q&A at the end of it. In order to ask and facilitate questions, please feel free to send them throughout, and we will divvy them out at the end of our program. Joining me is Vashili Gade, President of the India Association of Greater Boston, and she will introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you, Burlington Public Library, Michael Wick and Marnie Smith for bringing this Discover India series. This is our second year bringing the series to the Burlington Library patrons, as well as many other libraries in the New England area. At IGB, we have been bringing Indian Americans together and trying to assimilate and integrate with the larger Boston community. We strive to foster a strong Indian American social, cultural, and community presence in New England, and we are dedicated to civic, community, social, and cultural causes, such just the one that we are going to do right now. So without further ado, let me introduce our artist of the night, Sunanda Sahai. She has been painting Madhubani or Mithila style art. It's a traditional art form from the northern India. She has been doing it for past 20 years, and she has held very many exhibitions, workshops, and talks. She has also juried very many sessions. She has done these workshops at Peabody Sachs Museum, Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, Danforth Fitchburg Art, Boston Children's Museum, and so forth. She has also done very many showcases at the various art galleries, and she is a recipient of various awards and accolades from the state and the local organization. And it's not just her students. She has been teaching the art to the students all over the USA, and many of her students are also the recipients of various awards as well. So without further ado, let me present you Sunanda Sahai. Sunanda ji, please take it over.
Thank you, Vaishali. Thank you, Justin. And thank you, IAGB and Burlington Library and all the other organizations that have helped support me with this event, with this workshop. I'm happy to talk about this art, which is 2,500 years old. Can some people turn their videos on so that I feel that I'm not talking to the screen? Yeah, thank you, Justin. You are the only one on the screen. Thank you. So the art is 2,500 years old, and it originated at the northern part of India, at the border of Nepal and the India border from Bihar. So each state of India has its own art form. Before India's independence, each state was a small country in itself. After the independence, even though it became one country, they retained their art and culture intact. And so each state of India has its own art form, its own local art form. This is the place I grew up. I grew up in Mithila, Darbhanga, and the art is popularly known as Madhubani. This art has survived. This is 2,500 years old, mostly stayed in the families, transferred from mothers to daughters as a tightly kept secret, because the ingredients that were used to create the painting, that was not divulged out. And mostly women, my personal thinking is that just because they have more patience, they were able to do this art and keep it in the family. It was more like a community event. Once the men will go out for their daily chores, farming or something, women will sit together after their errands, and they will sit together and create this art form. I will not stay long or not talk long about this art or history. Because we do not have too much time to start it, and I know that all of you are eager to have your own artwork with you. So few things I will talk about this art form is, if you can see this. Yeah. So each of the artwork, this is a small piece that we are planning to do today. You will see that each of these have a small border. Any of the paintings, if you are able to see, they have a small border. You can see that these are done with double outline, not a single, but double outline. So when you are drawing the line, all four sides, you will be drawing it all four sides. We are going to work on the fish. Fish you can do in so many ways. Fish has a special significance in Mithila art. It's considered to be auspicious. And, for any happy occasion, or if somebody is going for a journey or any exams or anything, fish used to be cooked in Mithila. So that is why I chose fish, and fish can be done in so many ways, the simplest ways and the most complex way. So one thing I talked about is that each painting will have a border. Then every line that you draw will have a double outline. Even if you look at the fish, if this is one line, this is another line. So you draw the fish around it. So if you want to, the third thing is that unlike many other paintings, a lot of line designs were used in this painting. Instead of just picking up the brush, you grab any thing and that you draw the line. So you can see that this fish is mostly done, and it is called hatching. So mostly done by line designs. The colors used originally were mostly natural colors that was available in the household. And nowadays it has moved to acrylic color. So I'm going to show you if you want to start. And the one thing I had asked for the Sharpies, the extra ultra fine Sharpies, and the markers. If you have the markers, that's fine. So this is what I started with. If you can see double outline. So you can do all four sides or just two sides. So this is how we are going to start. If you have a ruler, you can use a ruler. Or if you want to draw freehand, you can do that freehand too. I started, instead of the pencil, I started with the Sharpie, the ultra fine Sharpie. And you draw the line all four sides. And then we are going to start a border right here. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just go to the board. So what you do is that you start from the corner. There are many kind of borders. So if I would have drawn the line here, then I would have gone with this thing. So you do this. And then if you want to practice the line designs or, filling it with the markers, you can do that. Mostly we use primary and secondary colors. So if you want to use a marker, you can use the marker, or if you want to use two colors, just the opposite color. The contrast colors, we mostly use primary or secondary color. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to make one side. And you are going to use the same combination, all four sides. There is going to be a pattern. I started from the middle, because if I do not start from the middle, then sometimes line can go in different directions. So I always start in the middle. If you want, this helps to keep the line straight. You can have this too. And you fill it. So one side you do with one color, all this with orange, And you do have a choice. If you have a marker, you do have a choice to fill it. So maybe one side you fill it, one side you do the hatching, and another side you pick another color. Again, just to give it a direction, I'm going to do the same thing. And there are many styles of hatching. This is just the simplest one that we are doing. I hope everyone can see this. Normally what we do is, instead of using the Sharpies, we pick the acrylic colors and use the calligraphy pen in the olden style. We dip into the color and we draw a line, then we dip it back and then we draw the line. So that is what we do. I can share the calligraphy pen or whatever even with you. So these are the kind of pens that and the this thing I use. Originally, when I was taught, that time there were no fancy holders. So I was taught, this is a marker, olden kind of markers from India. So we used to pull this whole stuff out and used to get the nib, and then we used to insert it. And that is how we did that. So you basically dip it and you do that. If you are ready, we can go and make a fish. Fish can be, just draw a fish. Do not try to copy me the way you want to make. If you want to make a fish, very simple. And there is no right and wrong. Anyone can do this. If you have a simplest fish, you want to do it like this, you can do it like this. But if you want to make it a little wiggly, or want to give it a shape, you can do this. If you want to give it another, this kind of thing. The one reason I picked the fish was that you can do a lot of things with this fish. And remember, I was telling about the double outline, so please do the double outlines all over. And here we just did a border. So having a partition with black means you can have a border, and then you can choose to have filling one side, hatching one side. You can choose, or you can have different style of filling. One thing you can do, if you have done a border like this, that you can have a hatching like this. At the same time, you can have a hatching sideways with another color. So you can have hatching like this too. So again, double outline this one, double outline this one, and you can have the same border or another border, totally up to you. Now, I'm hoping that you guys are able to catch up, because I'm not able to see anyone, I guess. We are going to make the fin. I was showing you double outline. Double outline is going to be everywhere. Double outline, double outline. Here, again, double outline. And you can do hatching here too. One, two, have a pattern, and you can do this. This one, you again subdivide. The thing with Mithila painting is, if you are looking at any of the paintings, if you have a circle, a shape, any shape, if you divide that with black line, you can do 3 different things in each one. But if you have not divided it, then you should do the same thing in all this area. And if you have a bigger area, you can do a hatching, a spiral kind of thing. And here, of course, you can make a border So we were talking about single hatching like this. Then there is double hatching. Single hatching, we talked about up and down. Then there are sideways, this kind of hatching, then this kind of hatching, and then there are also this kind of hatching. So if you have something like this, you can have something like this, you can have something like this straight, and then you can have diagonal with color. You can choose. Sometimes people just choose to have bichrome, just using 2 colors. So you can do that too. If you, and also outside, so basically you fill the whole thing. You subdivide. Generally, typically, you do not see one big chunk flatly colored. You always see that they're subdivided and then done this way. You can also choose to have a fin like this. And then, of course, double outline. Same thing, you can choose to have. If you have a big chunk, do not color that. Just do single hatching. If you feel this is too big for single hatching, then just go ahead, take a color, same pattern, this one and this one. And you can keep decorating it. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. And then you can color that 1, 2, 1, 2. And this one, of course, you can have hatching, whichever way you want. This is a big area, and you might think that your lines may not be as straight. You could choose to have double hatching here. So this is one simple way of doing the fish. The design that you had here, you can have, if you want to have the same thing. The outside thing, you can do that too. You got the eyes, and you see how the fins have been done. So this is a simple kind of fish. In this one, the difference between the one that I have made and this one is that this one has a middle divider. So if you have a fish, you can choose to have a divider like this. That is what I have done here. Typically, you take anything and you subdivide that in many ways. If you look at a painting, the paintings are done in a certain way. There is a central theme in the painting, and surrounded by nature, birds, and animals, with the idea that they are an integral part of each other. So nature and humans are integral part of each other. That is what it depicts. So typically, if you're looking at a Mithila painting, what you are going to notice is you're going to have a border. You're going to see the double outline. You're going to see lots of line designs in different ways. Some of the line designs that, if you know how to write cursive S. So if you have a border, you can choose to have this one. Something like that. And they should be close. They should be close. If you want to color this one, you can do one thing, one side. Have a pattern. It's not random. Have a pattern. Colors that we use are mostly primary and secondary colors. We do not use pink type of colors. Pink means magenta is fine. Magenta is fine, but not the light pink. It's always bright and vibrant colors. I can share some of my paintings with you that will give you some ideas. So this is a painting done in black. I will have to move this one too. So this is a painting. It's a large painting and you see a double outline everywhere. After you start with little bit of very basic pencil, it's not easy to erase pencil. So you do the basic thing with pencil and then you do the black thing, the whole thing with the calligraphy kind of pen that I was sharing. And then the next is that, you use filling or hatching. Generally, I do mix of hatching and filling. This work is done on satin. It is mostly hatching and filling. It's a mix. And then I'm working on some of the paintings that are right here, a work in progress. I think this is a story of Karna. Most of the paintings used to be, telling the stories. You tell the stories through these paintings. So some of the paintings, actually, the art originated with the story of Ramayana. Ramayana took place in Nepal. Sorry, Nepal and India border. Sita was from Mithila and Sita's name was Mathili. Mathili is a language and Mithila is a region. That is how the art became popular. And it is said that when Sita was getting married, Raja Janak, her father, wanted his people and the artist to decorate the path, the walls from where the Bharat or the procession is going to cross. So Ram and Sita got married and that is how this art got the name Mithila art. Popularly known as Madhubani because I feel that it must have been discovered in Madhubani. That is why it got more promotion there. People came Madhubani too, but Madhubani is a smaller region, Mithila is the bigger region. So that is why it became Madhubani or Mithila painting. And mostly it's depicted the stories from Ramayana and then Mahabharata, Buddha's stories too. But as every other art is a way of self-expression, this also became a way of self-expression. So people have been doing different kind of things, including me. If you are able to see this page, paintings were mostly done on mural style. So this is my home state is now a dry state, but this is a common homemade elixir kind of thing. It's palm tree kind of thing where you put the pots there and the tree secretes some kind of juice. It is called tadi. So, that is what this painting is about. So I have done a painting on Gandhi and, so, your expression, your artwork is your expression, whatever you want to do. But originally, that is how it started, depicting the stories of Mahabharata and Ramayana. Using the natural colors, mostly stayed in the families, from mothers to daughters. I also wanted to share a little bit of this. So if you want to make it a little complex, so you see the fish. So you can play with this. And it's not that it's very difficult, it's easy. It's just a lot of intricate and this is the work. But any art, you do not even have to make a fish. You can make anything, subdivide it, do it in hatching style, line designs, fill it, have a border, and that's a painting. So do we have any questions now, Justin?
No questions as of yet that I see. But anyone who does, feel free to send it along in the Zoom chat or use the question and answer function on the Zoom panel.
Are you able to see who is doing what and
Who is doing what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, which state they are they still working on their paintings or I cannot see any of the screen.
Oh, yeah. I don't think they have the video function set up for the webinar itself, but yeah, no questions as of yet.
So do you think people are busy drawing, or I went too fast?
Oh, no, I think you're doing I think you're at a nice pace. The drawing is beautiful, by the way. You do make it look real easy to do. And even though you mentioned it seems like a simplistic sort of style, but
Yeah,
intricately done, it looks wonderful.
thank you. And then there are a lot of things with the fish. As I said, that fish was considered very auspicious. Mostly, I think, because the area I grew up and where the painting was done, there are lots of ponds and lakes that might have, given the idea that fish, they must be getting a lot of fish. So when I go to my hometowns, the king that Darbhanga Raj, so the king, he had fishes on all his gates, and everywhere, even if he had a spout of a fountain, there will be fish. So growing up, we saw fishes everywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pooja. And so there are many other things that you can do with the fish. There was a reason I chose. That is another thing that I wanted. I didn't know the age group of attendees today, but I guess if I am doing it right. You can see, so this is something very common in Mithila painting, twinning anything or twining, whatever is the word. So you can again do a border here. I talked about two kinds of borders. This was one that you can do. And then there was another one, this thing. If you choose, you can have circles as borders too. And then depends, how much you want to do. If you want to do more borders, you can do more borders, and then you can make the scales. If you do not want to have scales, you can have double outline here. And then, you can have this kind of thing. This part, you can choose to have another design. Suppose you want to have a lotus or any kind of decoration. And then you can, decorate it the way you want. You can color the background, and then you can color. Remember that we typically only use primary and secondary colors. We do not use mixed colors. So typically, I do not allow people to do. But I have experimented. I have to say that I have experimented. I was sharing this painting. I didn't want to put too many things in that, but the painting had to be densely done. The typical norm is. So I did make the gray color, and I used this one. You can see that there are peacocks all around. You can see that the tarred palm tree, I guess you call that palm tree. So it was done in a different way, lots of hatching in it. I don't know if I think you cannot see my background, but if you could see my background, it was done on the mud walls. You can see in one side. I don't know, can they see me? Yeah. So mud walls paintings were done on the mud walls. People sat in as community and they did it together. That was my teacher who was showing her painting. There is a lot of symbolism in this painting. So general theme was love and fertility, longevity. So elephant, turtle were considered to be having long life. So there is one special kind of painting that is done in this style of painting. It is called kohbar. Typically, that painting is done in red color. So all other paintings that you see, the outline is always done with black, except for kohbar. Especially if the kohbar is going to be used in the bride and groom's chamber, the first night chamber. This painting has a huge impact and lots of symbolism in that of love, fertility, longevity, and all kind of things. Save them, and bride and groom come and they offer their respects to that painting. Basically, you invoke the universe through that painting. So you have stars, you have Navagraha, planets, animals, birds, gods, and they seek the blessing of the whole universe for a happy married life. So that painting is typically done in red color. You can do in different colors also, not using black. In North India, black is not considered to be a good color. So for a happy occasion, so you do not do black. So I made two paintings for my cousin's sons. One painting I did all in red. Another painting I did the border and everything with purple instead of using black color. That is how I did. So anything you think, birds and animals and fishes, small creatures, everything is inside that painting. Bamboo for lineage. Are we good?
Yes, yep.
So many times, as I was saying about the fish, this is the twin fish that I made is very special. Twins, this kind of twin kind of thing is very common of Mithila painting. So even if you make a conch like this, you make it. So instead of one conch, you make two, and that's very common. Similarly, when you make a bird, you make the same head and you make the two bodies, or even with the bumblebee. So that is what you do in this painting too. So this is very special and very unique of this painting. I have been to India after learning this painting. I went back and I learned a few art forms. I went to actually South India, and I wanted to see the difference that I grew up in North India, and I need to know something about South India. So I went to Hyderabad and I learned kalamkari and Tanjore painting. I also learned the art of Rajasthan, Fard art, Ragmala style painting, Mughal art, a couple of tribal arts called Warli and Gond art. So quite a few art forms I learned, and that is why I did that mostly in the museums where all age groups are included. So we just did a fish twins. You can do it differently too. So this is very common and very unusual. Not done in. I learned Pachitra also from Odisha and Kalamkari from Hyderabad. You do not have to do this kind. You can still do this thing if you want. With fish, you can play a lot. Remember I made a design here. You can have something here. You can have something here. You You can have something here. And double outline. Always remember the double outline. You can play a lot. You can use different kind of colors. I think I had all the colors right here. So remember, I talked about different style of hatching. I think I'm not out of screen here. Sideways, straight, and then diagonal. Actually, I talked about 4. And then we talked about, or maybe just this, double hatching. Sideways, straight, diagonal, and then double hatching. We talked about that. We talked about double outline. We talked about having all outlines done with black except for cover painting. Having a border in each and every painting. Now you look at this and see that how easy it looks to you. So remember, we talked about two kind of borders we talked about. One was this one. One was circle kind. So when I was talking about that, I talked about 4 kind of hatching. I also talked about this one. If you have a spiral, go as close as possible. So this can be another border. I think we talked about it. With this border, you can have them overlap. And then you can have different kind of things here. Use colors. You do not have to do this black. We typically, other than here, we do not color anything with black. Dark colors are mostly used for hatching, and bright and warm colors are mostly used for filling. All right, let's open to the questions now, if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, we have one question. If you could please show an example of another painting with just the color red.
Just the color red is in my basement, but that's a painting called Kohbar. Let me see if I can get it in here. Something like this. So it has many elements, birds, animals, happy things taking place, Navagrah. So that is called Kohbar.
Any other questions out there? I do think it's interesting just of the different, you've mentioned the easy ways of just different hatchings and lines and stuff does add like a a depth and texture to the
Yeah.
images themselves, and even motion, especially with the fish, how certain lines will display in different ways. It is very nice. It's very interesting.
Thank you. And as I said, that you can make it as simple as possible, as complex as you want.
Yeah, it's astounding.
Typically, in all olden kind of art forms, the paintings are done sideways, two-dimensional, done sideways. I do not know the real reason, but I feel that these people didn't go to the fine art school, and sometimes it's hard to draw it symmetrical, like, both eyes aligned. But nowadays it's getting better and better, and people are drawing all that better. But mostly all the olden style of painting, you will see two-dimensional sideways. They're facing the side. So that's how each painting is done. Any style, if you think about kalamkari, if you think about this painting, Fud art from Rajasthan, all of them are done in sideways. And the difference, sorry.
I was going to say, it's to display more of the body of the work and the focus of the image as opposed to just straight on.
Yeah. That and people have developed it and evolved it the way they have wanted. I was looking at some of the very olden kind of paintings, 1930s or something. There was a stage when people were using only two colors. So even my teacher, when she was teaching me, she asked me to get only black color and red color, and that is how she taught me the whole, this craft. So originally, that is how, I guess, not originally, but at some point, that is how it was done and sold. One of the famous artists, her name was Ganga Devi. She did it, I think, all her life. That is what she used, black and red pen. And towards the end of her life, she had cancer, and then she stayed in Delhi, where she was helped with this place, given her a place when she was going through the treatment. And the room that was given to her, she made a big kohbar, the red painting that I showed you, in a colorful style, again not using black. So that was something she did. I wish I could see what everyone has done.
Yeah, that's a function we wish we had set up for that. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments, perhaps? Folks, another minute or two.
Vaishali, are you making a painting too? And Maya?
I started Sunandaji and fell behind, so I'll complete it and then send you a picture.
Were you making it too, Justin?
Oh, I haven't been able to, no. I was keeping an eye and making sure things are rolling all right.
Thank you.
All right, well, I don't see any other questions or comments of any kind at the moment, but is there anything you'd like to add? I mean, the images and artwork for it is beautiful, and I can see things hanging on your walls in the background, and
I just had a class. Some of the paintings, I think instead of bringing the painting, I think it's just easier keeping it here. That's a holy. So that's a celebration of color, and typically I played a little bit with, experimented a little bit with this part where they are sprinkling the colors on each other, dry color on each other. So that is one of the picture of my paintings. Also, when I was talking about that, normally you do stories from your epics, but you can, there is, you can play with it a lot. One of my students is actually, she was in 6th grade and she wanted to do a painting on Rosa Parks. So we thought about the theme. Nobody had ever done that, and we thought about it. We discussed it. It took her 7 months, but the painting came along, and it looked beautiful. So this is a scene from a movie. Just when people think that there are limitations to folk art or traditional art, we try to show that no, there is no limitation. You follow. So you still see that there is a border in this painting. This is one of my paintings. That is, again, it's a soul painting. So, but still in my basement. This was done on canvas. So initially I was talking about, this is one of the hero, the protagonist, and he brought his bride. You know, there is a story. The movie is called Mr. and Mrs. 55. So that's a scene of the movie. The colors, I talked about the colors. I talked about the techniques, right? What kind of colors you use originally. Whatever was, it has been romanticized that flower juices are done, and that puts a pressure on the artist. It's not true that they actually grow the flowers and take the juices out. I know firsthand it's hard to keep the juices without fungus growing in that. Even in India, only mostly in winter you get the flowers, because summer is too hot to grow flowers. So, and then to make the flower juices and keep them in the fridge where there is a power cut all the time. So I was trying to figure out to make the juices and how to keep that. So one time I even put that in my freezer, and then there were ice. So I knew that is not going to work out. So then finally I figured out what is the best way to take the juices out. And then you feel guilty when you look at the flower, you start thinking about the color or the juice, and then that, you know, that's not a good thought, I guess. So yeah, so flowers. So, you know, originally I think whatever was like turmeric must have been used in the paintings, and then the colors must be coming out from bricks also. I do not know what is called tiles, like brick kind of tiles. So my guess is that even as children, we used to use those colors. Then there is Neil, I think indigo kind of color, that comes from leaves. So in India, in Bihar, my home state, Neil was grown. There was farming done of Neil, that indigo, those leaves. So those colors must have been used. If you think of any household colors, I do not think people will spend money or this thing. Growing flowers, it's just because romanticized, and people actually go and ask the artists, so is it made out of flower juice? You make them lie, actually, that, you know, it's made out of flower juice. It's not true. It's just practically not very possible. And it's not sustainable also. I made one painting, left it outside for one of my workshop. In the sun, the color was gone. It now looks earthy kind of colors. I have learned my lesson not to leave those paintings outside. But I'm sure there are ways of doing that, and there are more people who are doing flower juices and making colors and play from that. And there are better ways of doing that. They mix something in the flower juices, the colors, because I do know that even in other style of paintings, the juices are made and they're done. Any other questions, or we are good?
We just have a comment saying that your paintings are excellent and that you're a true artist.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's really very kind of you.
Very good. No questions just yet. I think, yeah, is there anything else to add? I think.
Vaishali, all good? Vaishali and Maya? And I have only sent mails to Nilesh and don't know him.
Yes, all good. Thank
Very
you.
good. Yep. Very good. Yeah, we have a couple thank yous here and there. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. This was excellent. It was very wonderful to see your paintings, and just to hear about the process itself. I'm still just surprised at how simple it really is, but and how wonderful it looks at the end of it. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much, Justin. And thank you so much, IAGB, Vaishali, Maya, and Nilesh. Thank you so much, Burlington Library and all the other libraries who brought this art to many, many more people whom I could not have reached out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us. And I guess I will conclude it for tonight. Hope to see you next week. Again, 7 p.m. next Monday night on the 15th. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye. Good night.